See, mine counts down.
Shit.
Every
I'm
time.
live.
Yeah. Then
I don't know
was
why.
about a second after.
Hello.
Every time. Hey.
Hey. The color on our... It's amazing how... Whoa, I'm just going to do a palm face there to everybody who's watching. Hello, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome to Here's the Thing. I'm Mortgage Jedi Jamie Vasey.
And I'm Sandy Hare with Remax Real Estate Center, the Hare Collective in Guelph.
Yeah, so we're a little late getting started, so we apologize for all of those waiting with bated breath, which based on the number of viewers was none of you.
It will happen.
It will happen.
It'll happen.
But yeah, exciting times, and so we wanted to make sure that we got this. Originally, it was planned for tomorrow. So life always juggles, life always happens, and we decided to do it a day early, which is awesome. We should start with our housekeeping. So Sandy has the beer of choice tonight.
Yeah, I was doing dry February, and it's notifying you that I'm almost there.
Oh, wow.
I was the one
face.
running late this evening, I'll admit it. But I do have the beer of choice. It was dry February for me. That's something that I do, but circumstances beyond my control have shoved me back into the beer life. And I am doing, not beyond my control.
Life is making me drink.
No, so here I am, and I have chose Beau's Lug Tread. One, because it was in my fridge, and I didn't pick up beer today because we have been hastily making decisions this week. But also, two, out of my beer fridge, this is the more business as usual beer. And then now that I'm talking about it, I realize that we haven't done Beau's Lug Tread yet.
We haven't?
No, I don't think we've done Beau's
It
Lug
seems
Tread.
like such a staple beer. Like
it's such a staple. Like, if you're at the beer store and you are heading towards Budweiser, I want you to stop what you're doing right now, and just go get yourself like 2 of these tall boys of Beau's Lug Tread, and I want you to sit and drink those, because you're going to find it more satisfying, and there's just so much more loveliness that goes on with this, and not the bloating that comes with Budweiser. And not that at Budweiser, hey, good for you. You've been doing it for a lot of years. But this is a delicious, nice, I call it an entry-level beer, and I'm also calling it for this evening, business as usual.
Yeah. It's funny because my Facebook memory from, I think it was probably 7 years ago, was the fact that I actually went to a Beau's event at Beer Town in Cambridge for their Burnt Rock Vanilla Porter, which was a limited time thing they brought out that was a curling related beer, so it was kind of cool. I, however, am not having beer. I'm drinking the vitamin water, only because I had a tooth extracted, and so Tylenol and beer are not a good combination. And, although I'd probably be funnier on this than I was on Saturday night at the comedy thing. But that's...
Now that we're talking about it, you did invite me to that. I get my head so firmly fogged up with work at this time of year. Good.
It was packed.
How were your mortgage jokes? Did they land? Did they stick?
It's actually funny. So there was a realtor doing a client appreciation night at the comedy night. I found out a couple hours before I went on. I'm like, awesome. No, I only did a few, and some of them hit, some of them didn't. But that's okay.
I feel like mortgage and real estate jokes are for those who know, right? Like I have clients, and like anybody that's worked with me knows that I am heavy on the let's just have a good time while we're doing this, because life is so stressful as it is. Let's just have a nice time, and I bartended for a long time, so my one-liners are dad level jokes, you know, like. So, but I find like they don't land on general conversations. Like if we're at a get-together or a dinner party or something like that, real estate jokes don't normally land the way they should.
No. The one that did land that was kind of an off-the-cuff kind of thing was, I talked about how whenever there's an unfortunate plane crash, I always look for the black box, which can tell you exactly where and when something went wrong, and how every guy should have that as an app on their phone. Because... you can go back in every conversation and see where it took the left turn.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Anyways.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Anyways, so let's talk business as usual.
Business as usual. And I think this beer is indicative of what's happening in the market. So here, before we end, just even 3 minutes ago when Jamie and I started talking, because you're catching us fresh here, that there's been a lot of changes. So this leans into the mortgage conversation about the qualifying rate, the bench qualifying rate. Oh, this computer's doing it. There it is. The qualifying rate for when you go to apply for a mortgage Personally, me, when I saw your post on Instagram, I was like jazz hands about it. I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because even a 0.5%, depending on your price point, but on those higher end price points, that is a lot of money that you can extra qualify for. And I know when I'm in a situation where we have multiple offers, that can change. That can be the difference between you and another guy. So I was very eager to talk to you about it. But then you deflated my balloon about it.
Yeah, so I have to do a bit of a mea culpa, because when I first saw the news, I, like you, was very excited that they were doing something a little bit more dynamic with the qualifying rate, because Mortgage Professionals Canada's been asking for this for a while. Now, our group has been lobbying for it to be basically the median rate plus 0.75%. The government opted for median rate plus 2%, which still does, based on where the median rates are right now, bring it down. But what it actually means when you crunch the numbers, and the next day I crunched the numbers and kind of sent out an email blast to everyone, and it's not revolutionary. So I'm going to say that. And what it really makes a difference.
Like a revolution.
Yeah, what it really makes a difference of is about 3%. Now, I've seen some articles that suggest up to 5%. So for somebody, but the real people numbers I ran that actually look at debt ratios and everything as well, it was about 3%. So, anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 depending on the price point you're shopping in.
Okay.
Now, that's not insignificant, but it's generally not the difference between whether or not you qualify for a mortgage or don't.
Okay.
Right? That's one thing. In terms of what it really looks like for the average person, it's kind of like if you were making an extra $2,500 a year in your income. Like it accomplishes the same thing. Or if you reduced your monthly debts by $100 a month. Like it has the same impact as those things.
But I feel like reducing your reducing your debt by $100 a month, like coming from somebody that, like, I didn't until like my Sandy 5 years ago is a different Sandy than today. $100 a month is $100 a month. Like that's
true.
You know what I mean? Like so that can be a very daunting number. So I think what you're telling me is that it may not affect necessarily a higher price point, somebody with a bit more clout in their everyday income or their increase in income, but maybe it might affect somebody more on the lower income. Maybe?
It might. So
maybe it might be more effective for people to get into the market.
I'll tell you where it's gonna, and this actually blends into what the other thing we were gonna talk about tonight.
Did you see that? See what
yeah, something. Sandy's feed went wonky again. Yeah, just switch over to my page because
just switch over to Jamie's page.
Where it will, and this kind of feeds into the other topic that we were going to touch on, where it can have a good impact is to help offset things such as condo fees.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Okay? So when you're out there and condo fees become a factor in your debt ratios, suddenly this extra little bit can make the difference between a condo that has $250 a month condo fees or $400 a month condo fees.
Okay.
Right? Like, so there's things there where it'll help.
Okay.
So it'll help. It'll definitely help. The one thing to keep in mind is just because somebody qualifies for more doesn't mean their budget allows for them.
No.
To pay more.
But the only difference is that, like, let's say you're in a multiple offer situation, right? And it's not necessarily like 100 people that are putting offers in, but maybe it's like 2 or 3. Like that little bit of extra income can be, or that little bit of extra wiggle room can mean the difference between them getting it and not, and then that can be up to them. They can decide within their own, like if they're approved for up here, but they want to keep it down here for their budget. Like we always have the 2 conversations. Right. What are you approved for? But where do you want to keep it? That might make them feel a little bit more comfortable with the right property to go into that number because at least then they're not, like, at least it's higher maybe, but I don't know. I just feel like it might help.
Well, here's this is to your point. This is where the savvy buyer will say, I'm going to still work within the parameters that I have. Right? Say, okay, if benchmark rate still being 5.19, this is how much I can go for. Mm-hmm. But as of April 6th, I have that extra little bit in my back pocket if I need to increase my offer in a competitive situation. That puts you in a stronger position because others are going to say, what's my ceiling? And they're going to be going in at, near their ceiling in competitive offer situations or looking at their ceiling in competitive offer situations. You have that extra little bit of ammo. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Another question I got is, if it's not going to have a massive impact, why do it? Right? Why did the government choose to do this? Why didn't they choose to do more?
Do you think it's something maybe it's a rumbling?
My gut says...
Tell me about your guts.
My gut says, my ample gut says... my ab says...
My one ab
says that this is kind of a dipping the toe in the pool.
Okay.
So because we were already in... Sorry, I'm just going to wipe that notification out of the way. So because we were already in a situation where we were seeing multiple offers, we were seeing places going for over asking price where it felt a lot like 2017, 2016.
Oh my God.
Because we were already in that environment, if the government made a decision to noticeably lower it, that allowed for a lot more people to get into the marketplace when there still is more demand than there is supply, that's kind of opening the floodgates for another Wild West scenario, right? So...
No, my guts hurt.
Well...
I hated the Wild West scenario.
Exactly. And so they said, okay...
It's a lot of trauma on my native soul.
Let's kind of do this a little bit at a time and see the ripple effects before we cause a situation where there's a huge amount of demand and not enough supply, and that will cause prices to be driven up.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
so from that standpoint, I get it. It makes sense. So it could just be this is a sign of more things to come down the road. If they see that, okay, this is all right, and it hasn't done too much, and we're okay, then maybe we go to a median plus 1.5%, and gradually work it that way, and see what the ripple effects are. Because to do too much too soon can have a huge impact.
Yeah,
and that ripple right now, the interest rates are low. They're almost as low as they were at the end of 2016 because actually they are very close to where they were in 2016 because the bond market is so soft. So interest rates are really, really low. And I think when they put the benchmark rate in, they expected it to drive rates up, and it did for a little while, but then those rates came back down.
Here's something that I've been talking a lot to people about investment properties and things like that, and I'm also down this path myself where I think that investment property is a good idea for me right now. When you're like, when I have clients and they look at year-over-year appreciation and they look at year-over-year sales, like I like to update people. So my next mailer will be going out and it'll talk about what houses were selling last year in February compared to what they sell in this year. And that's my next blog, right? And then we talk about the factors as to why, right? So a lot of people, because I write that blog because there's a lot of people that, the bulk of the people I talk to tend to look at year over year. And I think that that's a safe way to look at it, year over year with any kind of property. Would you say that, because like you and I have been doing this for a while, let's not date ourselves, but you and I have been doing this for a while. Would you say that it's important to look at what sort of things are offered, or like clear the fog, move past things and look at what interest rates are, like buying at interest rates? Like, would you say that is it more likely that interest rates are going to go up, or is that like a more complicated conversation? Like buying stocks, like, is it like, because interest rates are so low right now, and TD just dropped their interest rates, right?
They had
but they were higher than everybody else. But they did do it. Now, what does that say to the other banks, right? Or do they have to echo it? I'm sure somebody called a meeting about that. Like when that happened, we can't be as low as TD. Like 'cause they always have the highest. But Is this the type of investment that people should be looking at getting into interest? Like, this is not a conversation I have very often where people are like, we're buying because mortgage rates are low,
Right.
because the appreciation is so high and it's so consistently high. Is this a equity kind of appreciation compared to what interest rate you can get in mortgages, or I could show you rates of where everything
Are you
seems
asking
to go up.
from owner occupied or from an investor standpoint? Because it's two different answers.
I would say owner occupied.
Okay, from an owner occupied standpoint, the advice I would give is get into the market when you can get into the market, and the reason for that is because exactly what you talk about. Let's use 5% as an average annual increase for a property. Okay, so if a property goes up 5% in value every year. And you're buying, even a lot of people stay out of the market because while they might be able to get in, they might not get the property they think they want. Mm-hmm. They can get a property they need, but they might not get the property they want. Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference between the two. So an example of this is a young couple who is on their own, or even a couple, my age, that they're on their own. And by the way, I would date myself because I think I'm a catch. Anyways, that aside,
I always say I'm 40.
If your needs are basically 1 bedroom, 1 bath, in that scenario, that's your need. You may want more than that. You may want 3 bedrooms. You may want 2 bathrooms, but you don't need that. Right? Yeah, so if you can get a mortgage that will... Day. Sorry?
I said I run to that every day.
Yeah. So if you can get into the market within your means, what happens is that property you buy, so let's say it's a $300,000 property, that property goes up $15,000 that next year. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's very many people out there who are sitting out of the market paying rent who can put aside $15,000 in a year.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? So what the interest rate is, because I have lots of scenarios where and this is the new terminology that you're hearing more and more in the mortgage industry, is conventional versus unconventional lenders. So it used to be they'd use A lenders or B lenders or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying conventional versus unconventional. And the reason why they say that is because conventional is the cookie cutter process, right? And that's becoming a smaller and smaller part of the mortgage marketplace. Mm-hmm. Unconventional is situational specific lending. So for people who are business for self, who have to do things like a stated income program, for people who maybe have had bruised credit in the past, for people whose debt ratios might be a little bit out of line because of a variety of whatever reasons. They've gone through a separation or divorce or what have you. So there's a lot of people who can get into the market by using an unconventional lender, which carries a slightly higher interest rate, but for a shorter term.
Okay.
And to carry that slightly higher interest rate for a shorter term, for 1 or 2 years, until you can transition into the more conventional way and get that premium rate, is a good way to go, because your property is going to make more money than what it's costing you to be in there.
You're basically dipping into your terminal rate. You're dipping into the end result.
Well,
ahead of time.
If your property's going up 5% and it's costing you, if you have a choice between an interest rate right now of 2.59, because I've seen them that low, versus 3.59. Mm-hmm. That 1% that you're paying in interest is negligible compared to the 5% your property's going up.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Right? So when you take a look at
percentages compared to each other.
It's math. It's simple. Math. I know you do. We've done this
over coffee.
So it's simple math. It's if the property is making you more money than it's costing you, that's a good thing.
Okay.
Right? And you cannot, anybody who stays out of the market because it's not, it maybe isn't their ideal property, well, you use that property to get to your ideal property.
Mm-hmm.
By staying out of the market, you're always going to be chasing inflation because that ideal property is going up 5% in value each year as well.
But there's no way it's possible for you to save that $15,000 a year, like you said, or not no way possible. You'd almost have to have a windfall of some kind, you know.
But here's where, and here's where, without getting too math oriented, here's where it actually gets even trickier. For you to buy the $300,000 property or avoid the $300,000 property means that you're missing out on $15,000 of equity being built. And that's $15,000 that you can't necessarily say. And that's not you putting that money in. That's the house doing it for you.
Yeah.
Right? That's basically the house paying you $15,000.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so it's
So there's that. But then, let's say your dream property, or not dream, but your ideal property is $400,000.
Right.
Well, that's going up $20,000 a year.
Okay.
So when you stay out of the market, it's not that $15,000 that you need to worry about. It's the $20,000.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So why not have your property make 15 of that for you, and you can focus on the other 5 by paying your mortgage.
Right.
Because you're paying down your mortgage, which builds that equity.
Yeah. So that's the conversation I have with people, but is that. Like the amount of the income that you don't see of the property, like things selling around you, is more valuable than the interest rate that you're getting on usually. Like, so not like our parents' interest rates, you know, like, but
no,
yeah.
But the reality is, interest rate doesn't cost people the most money on their mortgage.
No.
So everybody looks at interest rate as the way to shop for mortgages. And that's kind of a broken mindset, because that's like buying a car or buying a house simply based on price alone. You don't do that. You look for features and benefits of that house and that car first, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't go and buy a house and say, I want a house that's $400,000, and if it doesn't have the bathrooms or the kitchen or the number of bedrooms you want, you're not going to buy it, right?
Right.
It's you don't get Lexus interior with Hyundai prices. No offense to Hyundai. It's just that's not how it works. And mortgages are the same way. It's not just the interest rate. It's about what does this cost you in fees, in penalties, and 60% of Canadians are breaking their mortgage early, so they are incurring penalties. Fees are as simple as having to change your payment date. Right? Like if suddenly I want to go from monthly to bi-weekly, and I need to do that twice a year, what am I being charged for those changes to my mortgage? And they do charge you administration fees. So things like that. Can I port my mortgage?
Porting is important.
Yeah. So
porting, I will say that's key. You and I have talked about that a few times, like, because I've run into people that are like, let's just buy this property so I can get in the market, and then life happens the way it happens,
right? And
like a baby comes along, or something, and then it's okay, we need to sell this house. Okay, can you port your mortgage? What?
Yeah. So knowing whether or not you can port it.
We should talk about that.
Porting your mortgage is key, because basically most lenders will, with an asterisk, allow you to port your mortgage, but there are some that have like caveats. So some say, well, you can port it, but only for the exact same amount. If you want to increase the amount, no, then you have to break it and re-register. Mm-hmm. There are situations like, how is the mortgage registered? So is it a standard charge mortgage, which means they just register the debt against you for the amount of the mortgage? Or is it a collateral charge mortgage where they register the debt against you for the full amount of the property? Right? So if you're buying a $400,000 house, even if you put $100,000 down, the mortgage gets registered, the debt against you gets registered as a $400,000 charge. Okay. And lenders do that so they can give you access to that extra money in terms of lines of credit and credit cards and other things like that. So that becomes more costly. Mm-hmm. Porting those become more challenging, because if you have a line of credit, it's tied to your property. Right? So all of those things. So those things become crucial. Mm-hmm. And understanding those features of the mortgage, it makes a huge difference when you're talking, quite literally 0.1% in interest rate, $10 or $15 a month.
Yeah, it's really not that much.
Right? That's what, depending on the amount of mortgage you're carrying.
Starbucks.
it's $10 or $15 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the difference between having to pay thousands of dollars in penalties, and 6 out of 10 of you will, that's huge.
It's huge. It's huge.
Right?
And I would say that majority of the people I work with are, we bought this house through someone else. This is not what we wanted, or this is not where life was taking us. We need to do this, or jobs, life, anything along those lines happen. And then next thing you know, like, okay, I come along. Can you port your mortgage? What? Or what's the fee for that? Talk to your mortgage broker. Here's a list of questions to ask. Okay, now go talk to this guy.
So I'm going to get up on a little soapbox for a second here.
It's the worst.
There we go. Yeah. No, it's going to be quick. All right. Last time we were on Facebook Live, we talked about how our industries are very archaic in the way things are done.
Yes.
Right? That right now...
Dinosaurs.
Well, it is. And for a lot of people out there, they believe that their mortgage is something they're given. It's like, okay, this is what you qualify for. Here is your mortgage. And they're like, okay, that's, based on what I qualified for, that's what I'm getting. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not what a mortgage is. A mortgage is something you should have a say in. Mm-hmm. Right? Especially when it comes to these features and benefits. And so, when I sit down with you, I'm going to sit there and say, okay, let's talk about these things and what's most important to you. And then, because everybody asks about rate, but we're always going to try and get you the most optimal rate for your situation.
That's always going to happen.
Right? It's not like we're going to sit there and say, okay, let's get them a higher rate. No, because that doesn't impact us in any way, shape, or form. Me personally, my philosophy is, you should feel like this is your mortgage and you understand it as well as you understand the choices you made in your house and the choices you made in buying your car. Mm-hmm. Did you want power heated seats? Did you want, I don't know, Apple CarPlay? I think that's standard now. I haven't bought a car in so long. But all of those things that you choose before you start looking, those are things you need to choose with your mortgage too. Yeah. And it's not confusing. It's not hard to understand. There's simple terms. Yeah. And you need to make those decisions ahead of time. Because then you feel like, okay, when we sit down and I say, here are 3 different options for you. Lender A offers this, Lender B offers this, and Lender C offers this. They have these features, and this is the interest rate for each one and the payment for each one. Which one do you feel most comfortable with? Yeah. Right? And that's really the empowerment that people need to have or need to realize they have the ability to have.
You and I talk about this all the time, and that's the approach. And again, oh my God, it may do it again. I swear, I promise it will be back on. But you and I talk about this all the time. Anytime we're ever jamming about real estate or mortgages, we're always talking about empowering people to make the choices. And again, little plug for the business, but I believe there's a lot of misconception about this business, and that's why, and it's funny because I feel like a lot of my time, and it's not, I don't want to use the word wasted. I feel like a lot of my time is spent educating people on the process of purchasing and applying for a mortgage, and how that is their experience and that they have a say in what happens in that process. Because they're under the understanding that when I say, here are the 3 houses, so Home and Garden TV, love it, but
you're killing the industry.
Damn that show. damn that channel. I have a real hard time with Home and Garden TV. But here's your 3 houses. Which one did you like compared to the other one? They don't get into the meat of the real questions or the real empowerment that happens. It really seems like it's put on the realtor to make those decisions for them or to offer them the choices. But really it's down to you. So just like your mortgage and just like your purchase in the community, right? Mm-hmm. So there are a lot more choices. So it almost comes down to there's almost I know we're into 2020, but there's a weird misconception about purchasing a home where I see it is, purchasing a home is unattainable for me. that conversation. I'm like, is it unattainable for you though?
No, it's actually more attainable now
than it was
for our parents' generation.
Yeah, like
so,
and I know people say like it's bad, it's so bad now, but we're looking at numbers at things like we're looking at numbers that are like hard to look at. So $500,000 or a quarter, like from $250,000 to $500,000 for something so small. But we're not really looking at the bigger picture. Like the appreciation value, yes, has been there, but when our parents bought houses, they were buying houses at 20 to 25% interest rates, and there was no government anything to get you in there. There was lifestyle differences, so things like I've been at weddings where people have handed people envelopes of money and been like, thank you, like, here we go. Oh, I'm so mad at my thing right now.
Your computer is just not...
Oh my God. I'm just going to go
take a quick second while you're rebooting your computer to say hello to Santa. Santa is a newer broker, well, relatively newer. He's in his first year. I met him back in December at an RMA function, so it's awesome that he's tuning in. That's great.
So feel free to send your questions. Sorry about that, guys. So we were talking
about... It's okay, you just disconnected Ken.
Oh my God, I love him. But like, so I've been at like weddings. So our ideas have changed as to when we buy a house. Like we seem to be getting older before we buy a house. Like what? Like I would say, like most of the people we talk to, like if I'm talking to someone under the age of 30 buying a house, I'm like, wow, good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is amazing. But it tends to be people in their mid-30s now, generally just settling down, like these things. But before it was like these 23-year-olds, like getting handed money and by their parents. And back then, parents still helped out with getting mortgages. Mm-hmm. That was still a thing. Like, it wasn't uncommon, for parents to like co-sign or pull equity from their house to help you buy your house. And like, that was a real thing, but the interest rates were higher. There was no government funding. You had to depend on your families. Now it's almost like there's a support system in place it's almost like any way we can make it happen for you, we'll make it happen, like
there's a lot of effort to make home ownership achievable for people.
But it's also managing expectations too.
That is the biggest obstacle for a lot of people, is the managing expectations piece, because we hear all the time about how it's tougher to get into the market, but the reality is it's not tougher to get in the market. It's just the expectations of what you want to get in the market haven't shifted, right? So people still want that detached home with a yard as their first home, but that's not a realistic goal for your first home for a lot of people.
It's not.
Because, are people talking about, and this was, again, gets back to one of the other things we were going to talk about, but condo living. A lot of people in kind of southwestern Ontario, outside of the GTA, they're like, I don't want a condo. I don't want to pay condo fees. And I do not understand this mentality. I want to share something I heard recently that I thought was really fascinating. If you take a look at where condo living or multi-unit dwelling, as it was referred to, became more prevalent, it was big in Europe for a long, long time. It still is. Like, it became a necessity in Europe. Far before it became a necessity here. Why? Well, because the cities are much older, and so they have more population, and so their infrastructures are more static. They can't be changed as easily, so they had to build up. And if you take a look at comparable European cities, and the one I heard was London, a condo in London, similar size condo in London, right now where the GTA you'd be paying like $750,000 for a condo. That type of condo in London would cost you $2.1 million.
Woof.
So when you talk about things appreciating in value, that shows you the ripple effect. And we're heading there. We may be decades away from it, but we're heading there.
We're heading there. Yeah.
Right?
And we're heading there. I just think that starting off that conversation with it's not attainable. It's not like like when I hear that already, I'm like, why are you putting a wall up for this? Did you know about this? Did you know about this? Have you talked to someone that knows private lenders? Can I find you a 3-bedroom, like 1,300 square foot apartment on Silver Creek? Can we start there? You know, like under like about $300,000. Can we start there? You know, like, and then build the equity. And what? Like, yeah, you're not going to buy your parents' house. Like, that may not be a thing. You know, can I start you in the 1-bedroom over here?
The reason why people have the mentality that it's not attainable is, and first off, other people in our industry tell them that. Like that's
true.
Right? Like
that's true.
You know, they'll go.
I just had dinner over that.
They'll go to their bank, or they'll talk to some other broker, and they'll be told, "Oh no, you don't qualify for that." It's not about what you don't qualify for. The conversation should always be what you do qualify for.
What you
or
do. Yeah.
How do we get you qualified for this?
So
that's what the conversation should be.
Yeah.
And anybody who's phrasing it to you differently isn't looking for a solution for you. They're looking to get rid of you, like essentially.
Because there's other people that are coming across their desk that are going to be.
That's like saying I don't have time for you.
I've been on the other end of that sword, and
right.
It was awful. And I moved on, and we own a home now.
Yeah, there's ways, right? And it's just accepting what those ways are. If somebody comes to me and says, I'm looking at buying a $350,000 home, I might say to them, well, the good news is we can qualify you for a $275,000 home.
Yeah.
And that will get you to that home.
And we can find it. Then it's managing your expectations.
Right.
Yeah. Then it's deciding, like, okay, like, if you go and talk, like, don't let renovations be so daunting. Go and talk to Granite Works. Go and talk to, I have contractors. Let them talk to you about what the average cost is depending on, go to IKEA and talk to them about an IKEA kitchen. Like, maybe this is the house you're buying for the next 3 to 5 years. What does an IKEA kitchen look like? Like, these are inexpensive fixes that Purchase Plus Improvements can fix.
And then you take a look at it, and the other thing that they're hearing is they may be hearing from realtors that, well, you can't be competitive in the marketplace with that. and that, like, that's, you hear you can't be competitive in the marketplace unless you do exactly what I'm going to tell you to do.
Don't go outside. Don't cross the street because you'll likely get hit by a car. Turn that conversation around and then make it traumatic. Don't go outside. You're likely to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
That's same.
Yeah.
It's the same conversation. You're not likely to get hit by a car. You don't know. I would hate for my clients to go into to look at a place. Like, I just showed a place tonight that I was pretty sure it was going to firm up on conditions, but I showed it to them anyways because what if those conditions didn't firm up?
Mm-hmm.
What if they didn't firm up? Then here's my people loving this townhouse, and I'm sitting here holding the bag being like, we got to get down here immediately. Like, I know you have 9 to 5 jobs, but shut it down. We got to get over here. And they're going to have like 3 or 4 offers on it tomorrow. Or you saw it. I have an offer already written up for you. We ready? Good to go? Okay, great. It's not going to firm up. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's, I swear to God. I'm so sorry.
Maybe you should just switch to your phone.
I'm going to switch to my phone. I'm going to we're just going to roll with it.
Okay.
And I'm just going to do it again because I swear to God, I'm so sorry. I'm getting a new computer, and I'm sorry, everyone. But, like, it's the same conversation. I'm scratching my eye while mine's counting down. It's this exact same conversation. Switch it around. You don't know unless you try. I would hate to go on the hot sheet the next day and find out that place came back to market and then sold to someone else for less than what my
client already prepped the offer just in case.
Because a realtor panicked and decided to sell it to someone quickly.
Listen, it's all about preparation.
Prep.
Right? So if you are prepared, this is you used these words earlier, and I hear it from clients all the time. They're like, I don't want to waste your time because I don't think I can buy right now. That's not wasting my time. That's doing your homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that's me doing my job is to help you get to a place of where you're ready.
Exactly.
I would rather have you do that and have us have time to get all the ducks in a row, so when you're ready to act, boom, we are prepared.
Good to go.
I would rather do that than have you reach out to me and say, by the way, I'm putting an offer in on a place in 48 hours. Can I go in without conditions? Like, I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
Right? How do you expect me to tell you that in 48 hours?
I've tried before. And
yes,
he hates it. 5 days. That will forever be.
That's my controversial take.
That will forever be a joke.
So we should let people in a little bit in.
That's up to you.
A little bit in. Sandy helped me sell one of my places, and it just so happened that the people who saw it and wanted it were clients of mine. So everything got fully disclosed.
So funny.
But on the offer coming to us, there was a 3-day condition of financing, and as the seller, I asked for it to be changed to 5 days.
Never seen it before in my life. I was like, are you serious? Because everything on the inside of my body right now is saying... Everything on the inside of my body right now is like, let's get this firmed up as quickly as possible. And here's Jamie being like, yeah, I know I'm the seller, but I know that this client is going to take 5 business days. And I'm like...
I was just making life easy.
And I was like, so usually in our business we have to
Everybody.
sign things in conflict of interest, right? Like we have to sign things.
Yeah.
And, everything was done properly
disclosed.
and everything. We're all about disclosure in this little group here. And I'm like, I feel like I need to sign a disclosure saying how torn on the inside of my body I feel about this, because I'm like, you make those 3 business days and you take it. You make them work for it.
Now, ultimately, it was done in 2, actually a day and a half, but still,
so good.
It was just fun. It was just fun. It was a matter of because I always say that to her. I had to say,
You had to.
It was fun. Good times.
Good times.
But that's you know what though, that kind of speaks to me. That speaks to the consistency of walking the walk, right? Like if you're gonna say you're about something, then you can't only be about something when it's convenient for some people.
No.
Right? And that's kind of
it has
like...
to be for everyone.
Has to be for everyone. And so I think that's one of the things that... and I want to get to the topic of condos, because we mentioned that last time. And I think this is a hugely important topic, especially for first-time buyers, but also for people who are transitioning in life. So whether they're going through a separation, they're downsizing, things of that nature, and they haven't been used to paying condo fees.
I've had this conversation like 10 times in the last week, like so many times.
I don't know where the mindset came that paying condo fees was a bad thing.
I don't
understand where that came from.
No, I do a little bit, and here's where some of it comes from, and it's just from my perspective in the field, is that GTA has been doing condo longer than we have here. And there has been some horror stories of condos being mismanaged, condos falling apart. In Toronto, you could pay like thousands of dollars a month in condo fees, like, and not have very many amenities. Like, it's almost like at the point where they're like, if I'm paying $1,200 a month for condo fees, I want to make sure there's a utility, a pool, and a sauna. And here in Guelph, like $450 is a high condo fee. Like, yeah, $450 is like pushing it. I want to see a utility at $450. So we're talking about like $500 less. So that's kind of pushing the market our way as well. That's an under talked about topic, is condo fees pushing the condo market towards Guelph. Not just the fact that we are actually building condos in Guelph. Not just the fact. I think it's what makes people live in Kitchener, because I don't understand. Sorry, Rebecca, I just don't get it. I just never have. I'm from Guelph. I don't understand living in Kitchener. Tell me more about it.
I wish I had answers for you.
I know.
I really did.
I don't know.
Although some of the condos that are being built right now in
beautiful.
KW are wonderful.
They're beautiful.
Great
They're
concepts,
beautiful.
lots of amenities.
But I think what's attracting people is that do I pay $1,000 more in condo fees and live in GTA, or do I spend $1,000 on traveling and not live in GTA?
It's so okay.
So that's where that comes from.
And I also
that's
know part
where
of it is
condo fees bad comes from.
I also know part of it is there was a time where condo corporations didn't have the same mandates that they have now, government issued mandates that they have now, right? So there is now an Ontario Condo Corp Act that all condo corporations have to adhere to, which talk about things like how often assessments get done, all of that stuff. Before that, reserve funds didn't have a minimum requirement.
Yep.
And now they have a minimum requirement based on the number of units in the condo. So reserve funds could get depleted, and then something would come up and people would get hit with heavy assessments where they'd have to pay $7,000 because roofs are getting redone.
We're not immune to that here, though. Like that has happened.
We're not
here.
immune to it.
Yeah.
But because of this, it's less likely because condo corps and property management companies have learned how to manage that reserve fund better, I think.
Yeah.
And they anticipate things and they understand people are going to find it much more palatable to have a $25 or a $50 increase to their condo fees than they will to get hit with a $7,000 assessment.
That's right.
Right? And so I think that's where part of it came from is people live in fear of I'm going to go there, pay them money each month, and then get hit with a huge bill.
Right. So my answer to that, because I just recently had this conversation, is one way you can help prevent that is joining the condo board, being on top of where the money's being spent, how it's being spent. If you're really super hypersensitive about it, the condo meetings are generally once a month. Like they're not anything crazy. It's a small amount of time to pay in order to have a say in that sort of thing. But the other thing is that you are technically like your space where you live is technically hiring a condo corp to work for your collective financial arrangement. So you'll have a say in how the money is dispersed and everything. So staying on top of that, it's when I don't want to say lazy, but when people get lax about how the condo is managing their money, like not saying things like, hey, so it's been 10 years and we have noticed that the driveway needs to be repaved. Why hasn't that been done? Well, that's better if people are on top of it and you're pre-planning for it, just like when you own a home. So when you own a home, you have to think about things like, okay, I'm saying to you, what's your plan? What's your plan? Are you here so the roof is good right now because they just did it. But you're going to have to look at that in 10 years. You're going to have to look at it either for maintenance or to replace it. You need to save for that amount or you need to pay for it in full. So condo fees, technically, if they include roof, windows, balconies, exterior maintenance, drywall out, things like that, pavement, tarmac, whatever it is, tennis court, whatever, when you're looking at it, are they planning for those things? Just like you would as a homeowner if I owned a tennis court or if I notice that the driveway needs to be done, if I notice those things. So it's important to critically think about, not just be like, oh, I love the space and I love the size and I love this. Critically think about what are the fees going to, because if you were to be a freehold homeowner, we would be having that conversation naturally about critically thinking about the space.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to what kind of car owner are you? So you can take, you understand that when you buy a car that you have to change the oil regularly, just like you understand you have to change your furnace filters hopefully regularly. But then the rest of it is, do you do your maintenance like proactively, or do you wait till a red light comes on? And then when a red light comes on, do you get looked at right away? Yeah. Or do you just kind of cover it up with a piece of tape and hope that the sensor goes off after a while?
Just keep putting air in the tire?
Yeah, like, I mean, that's what it comes down to with your home, because it's like, okay, so you noticed water coming in around the window. Do you go and get that looked at and taken care of right away? Or do you just say, well, it's only because it was raining heavy and when it's sunny it doesn't happen?
Right.
Which ends up having water damage and things like that. So it's all about... Ultimately, the money you pay to your condo fees are money you're going to have to spend on other maintenance of your house or yard work or whatever. You're putting it in one of two ways. You're either paying it out of pocket or you're paying it out of sweat.
So so it's a dichotomy. So people look at the purchase price, they automatically break it down into what the monthly fees are, what the monthly expenses are. But if you take a condo fee and you extend it out and say you're paying this much a year, people are like, oh, that's not that bad.
Right.
It's always the opposite. If I say, $400, you're paying like $4,800 a year in condo fees.
Sure.
So think about, like if you had to replace, if you think about having to replace the windows or think about having to replace the roof, think about, as long as the status certificate is good and the reserve fund is good and they know that these things are about to happen, there shouldn't really be a problem. Like you'd probably have to spend about $5,000 a year on your home.
Well,
I'll
tell you where and this is my understanding, and as the realtor, you'll be able to tell me if I'm right about this.
I will.
Or if I'm way off base.
I'll tell you either.
To me, where you recoup those condo fees isn't necessarily in the work that gets done, isn't necessarily in the fact that, hey, your driveway's always cleaned for you and your lawn is always mowed.
That's a perk.
It's a perk. To me, where you recoup those condo fees is when you sell the property. Because if you go to sell your freehold home and their inspector comes through and says, well, you're going to have to do the roof in 2 years. Well, you're going to have to do the window in 1.5 years. Well, you're going to have to do the furnace in another 5 years. That impacts what people are willing to offer you for that property.
That's true.
Whereas when people come through your condo, they don't need to ask about any of that because it's going to be taken care of. So
not necessarily furnace, but the windows, windows exterior maintenance, walkways, landscaping,
doors,
anything drywall out, brickwork, mortar work, anything like that. It's an automatic
in some cases, air conditioning units if they're on the exterior.
It depends. Yeah, that's the anchoring of them sometimes, but not necessarily the air conditioner themselves. But yeah, like roof, all of that. Like it's not. It's already like that's we're good here. Foundation. So there's even on the inside. So there's a foundational issue. If there's a foundational issue, and I've seen this many times in a condo where there's a crack in the foundation, it usually has the plugs along the side, which is what we want to see because oh my goodness, it's trying to reconnect. Ooh, it's gonna happen again.
It worked.
But you see the crack in the foundation. Oftentimes it's done properly because that's technically the drywall out. The foundation is generally part of the condo corp. The attic space, there's mold in the attic. We've had people that we even know that have had that situation. Remediation is on the condo corp generally, It depends condo corp to condo corp. So that kind of feels like I know someone that had their attic remediated on a freehold townhouse and it cost them $5,000.
So when you think about...
Did it cost you a lot of money?
When it comes time to sell, you can sell with peace of mind of knowing, well, I don't have to worry about...
That's beyond your control.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about the inspection, looking at the roof or looking at this or looking at that. That all gets taken care of by the status certificate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So that makes for a smoother process too.
That's right. Yeah, so it's just a different animal, and I think think people need to understand, like, I've warmed people to condo that weren't considering condo before, and and I don't like to reach outside their limits. Like, if I know a condo corp is charging like $650 and they don't have a utility and no amenities like pool or sauna or anything like that, or games room or something like that, then I'm like, okay, or 2 parking spaces, things like that. I generally am like, that doesn't work for them. But I'm like, you know what, we should, like, you're talking about these prices. We should talk about condo. We should talk about condo.
But that's the other, okay, so one, this is the reality for first-time buyers or investors. Condos are the reality for first-time buyers and investors.
Yeah.
For 90% of you, this is your reality. Get comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Number 2, condo fees are going to be reflected in the price.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, for example, I saw a property that had $700 condo fees, but the price was really attractive compared to other comparables in that range.
That's generally what happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, so, yes.
Depends on the amenities.
It does, but generally speaking,
mm-hmm.
higher condo fees are going to result in lower mortgage
That's
costs.
Right.
Or lower condo fees mean you're probably paying a bit more.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
and lower condo fees doesn't mean healthy condo corp either.
No. So oftentimes
like
the condo fees come out in the wash when you balance it with what your mortgage payment's going to be.
That's right.
So it's get comfortable with that and say, okay, this represents an opportunity that there is still, for whatever reason, a stigma amongst certain people,
mm-hmm.
which means the number of competitors I have for that is going to be less than the number of competitors looking at this freehold property.
That's right.
So that equals opportunity.
It equals opportunity.
Did we make it an hour?
There it is. We made it
I don't know. Less. I can't tell.
We'll be able to tell later.
All right. We'll see if we made it an hour.
Updates coming later to see if I swore at an hour or not. But yeah, no, I'm with you because I turn people onto condo all the time, and it's because of that point to be like, and also with investors, like in Guelph, like, I hope you're not looking to make money per month because the rent rates are still that's a whole nother topic. We could go on another hour about that. But rent rates are a direct response to purchase price. So, and people pay the rent you're asking generally.
So, when it comes to investors,
mm-hmm.
condo fees and interest rates are 2 things that you should, I'm not going to say not care about, but I'm going to say be a little bit more lenient with. And the reason I say that is because they are business expenses.
They are business expenses.
Right? And which means you have the opportunity to write those off.
Yeah.
So you may not be cash flow positive day one,
mm-hmm.
but when you factor in your write-offs, then all of a sudden you are at the end of the year.
And also, too, like, one small thing, like, maybe next time we could do a whole thing on investments.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've learned a lot over the last little while.
You and me both.
But also because I feel like I'm in this mindset myself about purchasing an investment property that I want to talk more about it, that pulling equity from your home, for one, costs of that, and what kind of mortgage to get yourself set up for.
So I'm going to quickly touch on that. Because I don't think people realize that when you're pulling the equity from your home as a down payment on an investment property, essentially what you're looking is you're essentially asking for a 0% down mortgage. Because by pulling the equity out, you're adding to the mortgage on your home, and you're putting it on another property.
Yeah.
But essentially you're mortgaging the full amount. And that's how a lender looks at it. A lender's saying, okay, where's this money coming from? Mm-hmm. And if you're basically saying you want to mortgage the full amount, okay, how does that impact your debt ratios? All of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something a lot of people I don't think realize. They think, well, I just want to take I want to take it out of the equity in my home. Okay, well that means you're mortgaging the entire property.
Yeah.
You're splitting that mortgage between 2 properties.
Yeah, but at the same time, my computer is not loving me today. I had to get a new computer. But yeah, no, so But at the same time, then you're getting the double appreciation value, right?
Absolutely. Now, the reason I bring this up is not to suggest that it's a bad strategy. The reason I bring this up is to suggest that a way that if you want to be more cash flow positive is to use as much as you can on your home and put as big of a down payment down as you can. The reason I say that is because even though you can write off the interest rate on the investment property, it will be a higher interest rate than what you get on your home.
Okay.
Investment properties always carry a higher interest rate because they represent more risk to the lender because you're not living there, somebody else is.
That's true.
Right? So you're going to get a lower interest rate on the equity you take out of your home, which means when you dollar cost average it, to do that makes it more cash flow positive.
Makes it more cash flow positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes, and inspired by you, I'm back at school now.
Oh.
Yes.
Don't follow my lead.
No, so Mortgage Professionals Canada is just issued, they've just announced 3 new accreditations to the mortgage industry.
Okay.
2 of them have yet to be released, but the first one has come out, which the designation is AMPC, so Accredited Mortgage Professional. Accredited Mortgage Professional of Canada, I think is what it is. It's a course offered by UBC, and you go through and do it. And first exam is going to be in April, offered for this, and I will be part of the first, assuming I do well on the exam, I will be part of the first group ever to earn the AMPC designation in Canada.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And then
followed by the MPC and the EPC afterwards, which that should be fun.
Well,
but basically, it's just our industry's way of saying, look, we believe that we need to have constant continuing education. These accreditations speak to things like, integrity and there's a strong focus on fraud prevention and things like that. And so it's about how you carry yourself in the business. And so for me, it was I see you always doing the continuing education. Of course, we have to do continuing education as part of it, but then there's we want to do more education.
Yeah,
on top of
there's some have-tos in our industry, but I am all about here's my sore spots and I want to know more because I hate not knowing, and that's what I like about this business is the constant moving variables and the challenges that I get faced with every day. So people ask me, so what is the mortgage payment for that? And I'm like, call Jamie. I don't know.
Do not use an online mortgage calculator.
Don't do that.
I cannot stress that enough.
But I can bust out my calculator and guesstimate and do a high-end interest rate. Thank you, Jamie Vasey. But I know how to do that now, and math is not my strong suit. I'm a science girl. I graduated high school with a Science Proficiency Award. You want to talk about
Yay.
I got all A's, straight A's in science. Math was not my strong suit.
Hydroponics?
Probably. Skateboarding and averting the popo. That's another thing I got awards in.
She said science. What?
So, basically a Breaking Bad situation. But the... now I gotta go home and watch Breaking Bad. I definitely, at this industry, it's like so many constant moving variables that you have to stay on top of it. I believe that continuing education, and I actually just talked to some teachers about that, and I really support teachers in their plight right now about getting the things getting done. But those guys are with my kids all day, every day. I get it. They know what's up. I'm gonna trust their industry and know that they know. But we were talking about the continuing education thing, and I was saying that continuing education online is a big part of my industry, and I had to teach myself how to learn online. But apparently, it's part of a lot of different industries. I'm not even gonna start it. I'm just gonna we'll just wrap up. But
I'll send you the video.
I'll make sure my computer works next time. But continuing education is a big part of an online education. So my whole thing was I understand that it's an issue, but I learned a lot about the whole online situation.
Yeah.
Learning. But I do believe they should be teaching it in school. but it needs to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, is that the self-discipline and the things that come along with it. Like, you and I have to step outside of our careers and our busy careers and go and learn these things. So I believe that if this is the way industries are going, is that online education and continuing education online, that we should be supporting that within the school system and supporting teachers to teach our kids how to do that for future business.
Yeah.
That involves supporting our teachers. Anyways, that's me and my little plug for teachers. But what I do want to talk about next time is investment properties.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to talk more about that because that is a train that I am on right now, to talk about that. I want to know more about what's happening with, so one thing we didn't touch on was the government.
The first-time homebuyers?
Mm.
Yeah, essentially it's a dud. And
Who said that?
If
Who
only
said
two
that?
people would have come on Facebook Live back in October and said this is really not going to do what they want it to do.
Who said that?
I don't know. There's a lot of lenders who aren't even partaking in it.
I wouldn't touch it with a fucking... Oh,
there we go again.
there it is. I wouldn't touch it with a 50-foot pole.
Oh, yeah, so it's
If
not
it has an F that starts with it, I have to throw it in front. I wouldn't touch it with a 50-foot pole.
There's... And maybe the benchmark change is in response to that. I don't know. But the program through the CMHC, the shared equity mortgage is. I can tell you, I've had the total sum of 0 people want to partake in it. So
you won't get anybody from me. I won't.
No,
I just don't
there are
see,
better ways to go.
I just don't see how owing people money helps you move on from the property that you purchase to do other things. So that's great if you want to pull equity from your house and pay back the government within 3 years and stay in your house for another 10 years. Meaning that that's if things appreciate the way they're supposed to appreciate.
Right, and so this is where I think
it's
one
a
of the
double
things,
dip. It's a double dip.
I think, and from the mortgage standpoint, when we talk about investments, but also, it's not just about investments. It's about, I think, talking about having the mindset of getting your next property, which is whether it's through an investment, whether it's the next property you want to live in, you should be thinking next as part of your plan to move into your current one. Because if you're not thinking next,
Yep.
you may not be setting yourself up for the most success possible.
That's right.
And part of that is, part of that comes down to the features and benefits of the mortgage.
Yep.
So we need to talk about that. How do collateral charge mortgages impact your next move? Things like that. So that's going to be, that's in March, which, of course, by that time, baseball season will have started, or just be around the corner because it's starting early this year. So
maybe
exciting
Jamie will have
times.
bangs next time too.
I will not have bangs. I can assure you I will. Unless I find a Ronnie James Dio mullet wig to wear.
Oh my god, it was so good. You know I have one, right? I have costumes. It's fine.
So
it'll be cosplay week next time.
All right.
I can't believe we're heading into March already.
Yes.
Like, here we are. Like, the boards are full. Here we go. Rebecca, come back from Mexico. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So I think that a good wrap-up would be that we're going to touch on those investory things next time. Maybe we'll have somebody come with us to talk about it, too.
That'd be great.
Rebecca's always good for those things as well. Stay safe out there in the KW Cambridge market.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to be shoveling 3 times tomorrow.
So, but yeah, stay safe. But also financially stay safe. And the blowback too. So I believe that there is, so we're going to talk about predictions. There is going to be a blowback in Guelph, even though it's already hitting multiple offers and like houses are selling for ridiculous numbers in like my old neighborhood, like in the 700,000s around the mall. How is this happening?
There is the potential that people will be of the mindset that, hey, maybe I wait until after April 6th and qualify for more, which allows opportunity for people who are out there shopping now.
I think that's what we're seeing.
So you may see a little bit of a pullback in the number of offers,
Yeah,
right?
number of offers. That's it.
So it might, you might see a pullback in that slightly.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the opportune time.
Yeah.
Because essentially what that means is when those other people come into the marketplace, it is going to cost you that extra $10,000 or $15,000 to get that property.
That's right. Yeah. So the airs come out of the room a little bit. Just everybody's kind of just simmered, just holding their breath, just waiting for April 6th to happen. March. Purchase it, buy it. Because get ahead, because already by the time you close, you're already probably 15 to 30 up.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what we're saying.
Yeah.
You're already pretty much 15 to 30. That should be the name of this podcast, little video cast thing.
15 to 30
But by February, purchase in March, so you'll be 15 to 30 up. Yeah, so I think that's where we'll leave it. Yeah.
Good. Send us your questions. Look forward to your comments. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.